we go.
Who's ready for a boat ride today, guys? We ready for this?
Yes!
Bienvenidos. We got folks from all over the world, guys. My name is Jim, and I have the good pleasure of being your docent,
right there,
your guide, your host, really, for this 75-minute architectural safari through this living museum of architecture. People have asked, I've lived in Chicago most of my adult life, and I've had the pleasure of showing off my city like this for the past dozen seasons, and I love this job because I love Chicago. I hope you guys fall in love with Chicago. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to bring my A game. I want everybody here to get their money's worth on Father's Day. And to do this, guys, we're going to do 4 things. First, we're going to talk about Jim's favorite subject, which is actually beauty. You guys, guaranteed, are going to see a beautiful city today. But we're going to talk about how beauty is so powerful that it can influence people and shape culture. Second, you're going to learn, you're going to get edutained, and we're going to learn about the evolution of architecture. And what you're going to see, each generation takes its cultural values and expresses them in 3 dimensions. We're going to decode old buildings. Third, full disclosure, I am a nerd for life. I have an engineering degree I'm not using anymore, but I'm a nerd, so we're going to talk technical. 4, we're going to tell some stories. Everyone loves stories. And finally, we're going to have a boatload of fun. Hey guys, we got a big crowd today. Captain asked, please keep side conversations to a minimum. Try not to block views, taking photos. Some of your best photo ops are going to be near the end of the tour. Okay, you ready to get going? How about this white building right here? This is the iconic, personal favorite, Wrigley building. This guy's early 1920s. Note that, early 20s. Spanish Revival. It's the name of the style because it's modeled after a cathedral in Sevilla, Spain. Our question guiding us today on this smart tour quest, because you guys are wicked smart, Pepita. Our question is why? Why were they building buildings that looked like European cathedrals and palaces here in Chicago in the early 1920s? It's because the young United States didn't yet know what our own style of beauty was. We were still copying and pasting beauty from Europe. It wasn't until later we came into our own, found our own groove. So our first generation in this evolution, Europe's beauty from the early 20s. Next, the spectacular Trump International Hotel in town. Now this beauty is the 2nd tallest building in Chicago. It's a high-end residence and hotels from 2009, and it is a good example of one of the architectural styles that we're going to talk quite a bit about today, guys, and it's called contextualism. Check this out. Look up there with me. See these 3 patio terraces? They're called setbacks. Well, they're not arbitrary heights because they are each at the height of a neighboring building. Check this out. The first patio, where the Trump sign is, same height of the roof of the white Wrigley building we just talked about. Second patio on the left, look across the river, same height of the white rocket ship-shaped building under the sun. And third patio, look up, is the same height of this black box building on the other side. So what I'm saying, it's acknowledging its 3 neighbors' heights. Isn't that cool? Site-specific designs intentionally meant to flatter the context, contextualism, and the architect of Trump Tower is one of Chicago's most famous and beloved architects. There's a guy named Adrian Smith, who, by the way, we call him the world's tallest architect. Comes in at the staggering height of 5 feet 7 inches. We call him that because he makes the tallest buildings in the world, including the current tallest. Eyes up, cameras up. Over to the right, you'll see the twin, iconic, corn-cob towers of Marina City. These are pie-shaped apartments, each with their lobed balconies. I got a buddy who lives up there. Little difficult to furnish a triangle-shaped living room. Now, here's its story.
Wow.
In the 1960s, like many cities, pretty much nobody was living in the city center. You worked downtown, you went home, but you didn't live here. Well, there was a Chicago architect, guys, and his name was Bertrand Goldberg. He was kind of the social scientist of his generation because he wanted people to live in the city center, like they did in Europe, where he studied in Germany.
It's okay.
But there was no infrastructure for residential living downtown. So he had to build a self-sufficient, autonomous city within a city. where you can live above your luxury yacht. Y'all got one of those. Live above your valet parked car, your own restaurants. How about this? Movie theater, hotel, office space, bowling alley, ice skating rink. Truly a city within a city. Introvert's dream world. Over to the left is our Riverwalk. This Riverwalk, just a few years old, has been a game changer for Chicago's relationship to this river because it's bringing citizens down to the river as never before. You get citizens this close to the water, they get a lot more concerned about the water quality and the ecosystem. It's good for the river. Swing to the left, you see the bottom of this white granite building with the mirrored glass. Follow it all the way up to the top, and you'll see what looks like a Greek temple up there. See it? Name of that style, neoclassic. You take something classic like the Parthenon and remake it with new materials. This particular building, 1990, designed by the late Ricardo Bonfil from Catalonia, Spain, Barcelona, one of the few international architects represented on the river. For those of you visiting from out of town, which is the majority of you, here is some orienting vocabulary for you. You may find helpful. The part of town to your left is called the Loop. You may have heard that term, right? Let me explain it for you. It's got our public transportation train lines are called the L because many of them are elevated, and they literally make a loop in the core business district. So the city center is called the Loop, although people are living in the Loop these days. Chicago, by the way, is located here because of this river. In the mid-1800s, this little Chicago River was the waterway that connected the East Coast to the Mississippi River. Now that's back when things were shipped by barges and schooners. So there was a lot of merchandise came through Chicago, and it's been a hub of commerce ever since. Planes, trains, semi-trailers coming through Chicago. So remember, we're learning the evolution of architecture. First building, looking to Europe's cathedrals, early 20s. Here's our second style. This huge building on the right, and this one is called Art Deco. Art Deco, guys, was made for a whole different generation. This is the late 1920s, not the early 20s. This is the roaring 20s, the jazz age, the time of prosperity, luxury, airplane travel, sophistication. They wanted an architecture that expressed that financial optimism. And Art Deco is just that. Because again, each generation takes its cultural values and expresses them in 3 dimensions. We're decoding these old buildings. Think of the Empire State Building, New York Classic Art Deco. Here's the characteristics you see in Art Deco building. It's got these deep inset dark windows. Make these soaring vertical racing stripes that draws your eye. Up. Stair-step setbacks. Polished Indiana limestone. Precision repetitive patterns. Art Deco, the late 20s. Eyes up, cameras up. As we come under this bridge, guys, we're coming into what's called Wolf Point. And here is where you're going to see 360 degrees of amazing. Okay, this is kind of the trophy case of Chicago's architecture. Almost everything you're going to see around here new within the last 5 or 6 years. We got residents, we got the Salesforce office building here, some curved offices, we got a nerdy looking Y-shaped building we'll talk about because it's nerdy. Got an L train on the bridge right on cue, classic Chicago photo. Everything is new, except this guy to the sharp left. This one may look contemporary. This one's actually from 1983, and it's an excellent example of contextualism. The curve of that reflective glass building not only imitates the curve of the river, it reflects and flatters the context, contextuals. By the way, you know, this is one of Chicago's favorite buildings. You know why? Because it was featured in a documentary. It was based on a true story from the 80s. Some of you may have seen it. It was pretty popular. It was called Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Anyone? Class? Bueller? Anyone? Well, you gotta see it if you haven't. Welcome to Chicago. We're here at Wolf Point, guys. This is the junction of the 3 branches of the Chicago River. We've come down the main branch. We're turning now. We're gonna go up the north branch a little bit and then down the south branch. See the curved office building right here, parabolic slice out of the top and bottom. True story, 2 years ago, a little boy looked up and named the building for us. It's now called the Hot Pocket Building. Can you see why? I think it looks more like a McDonald's cherry pie box, personally, but it's still pretty cool. Swing to the right, or the next building right in front of us, this peach-colored box is called Fulton House. This is the oldest we'll see on the river. It was built in 1898. Now, here's its story. In the first half of the 1900s, Fulton House had no windows because it was a giant cold storage freezer building for the meat packing business. Well, that business goes away in the 70s. In fact, they say it took about 3 months for the old building to thaw out. As they cut through those 3-foot thick walls to make the balconies and windows, they discovered the walls had been stuffed with matted horsehair and cork. That's what they used as insulation prior to styrofoam. Who knew? Don't sell that at Home Depot. Swing to the right, the bridge. This is a 1908 landmark bridge, means you can't tear it down, but it exposes how all these Chicago-style bridges work. Guys, think of a teeter-totter. That's how much of a concrete counterweight you need to balance this much steel. All these bridges, open and close, we'll talk about them using that same principle. Over to the left, look at the interesting triangular-shaped postmodern river cottages. The 4 residential units, 5 stories each. You know, when Harry Weiss, the architect, big sailor, you can see some nautical themes. When he made these in 1988, people thought he was kind of crazy. And it's not just for the unique shape of the building, but for even having residences on the North Branch of the Chicago River. Because the North Branch was kind of the stinky, smelly industrial branch. Why would anyone want to live up here? But he actually helped Chicago change its attitude and its behavior towards the river. It's been cleaned up significantly since the 80s and become both recreational, this is where my wife and I got and residential. See some nice townhomes coming up. All right, quick check-in, guys. How we all doing? So far, good? Okay, here's what's going to happen. Our Captain Lair is going to take us up here and do the first of 3 U-turns with this giant boat. This time we're going to head down the South Branch. More fun stuff to see down there. I'm going to get off the mic, walk around, see if you got any questions. Make sure you can hear and see. Okay, good time for y'all to go down and see Ray at the bar. I see some of you have already found him. This is a no judgment zone. Get yourself a cocktail, anything you want, and we'll get started in just a little bit.